a lawyer, a writer, a PhD, a poet, and an artist walk in the room. And that's me. That way I can properly preface, because I couldn't start with one of those, and so I just sit there. I'm going to attempt to explain aesthetic response. Does anyone know what I'm talking about at all? No? Yes, okay. I'm also currently teaching at the European Graduate School. I'm teaching a class about Jean-François Lyotard, but I'm not going to talk about that because it makes even my brain hurt, especially this time. But I want to talk about aesthetic response because I did a lot of writing about that, sent off the proofs for a book about it, and it's relevant here. Now I'm saying relevant how? It's relevant in relation to creativity and meaning creation. So to back up, what am I talking about when I'm talking about aesthetic response? I'm thinking about, we'll put it in the realm of the book, because the title of the book I wrote is called The Novel Imagery. There's a colon, the bit that comes after the colon gives you academic street cred. But when I'm thinking about the novel, there's the author, there's the text, and there's the reader. You know, the basic parts of what's going on in this communication, in this dialogue. You have one theory of the novel that kind of says, all right, well, the author's a genius, creates something, and sends it over here to the reader, and the reader says, oh, thank you, I've experienced your genius, you've sent me something intact, I've received that. And that's aesthetic reception, that's the reception of that work. Then you move over to response, and when you respond, you're having a little back and forth, you're building something, you're creating something. So when I'm talking about aesthetic response, I'm talking about how readers, and it could be readers, and we're looking at paintings, and we're looking at any form, we're looking at a film, how they create the art object through their perceptual experience of it. Various art objects will occupy different sensory channels. Some of them you're just watching with your eyes, some of them you have eyes and ears, different things. And this plays into how the reader is responding and creating that work. If we go into my own work, there's a philosophy that I won't talk about, because if you say Heidegger after 9, you can get stabbed in certain states. But I will say that part of how we respond, how we create this art object relates to how we exist in the world, the way we exist in the world, and also the way we create things. Because part of what I wanted to bring out in my work is the nature of that creative act that happens in the reader. And when I talk about meaning creation, I'm not talking about the author sending something over to the reader. I'm talking about the author creating the possibility for creation in the reader. And it's when the reader's creating that world. For me, it's a lot of this world of the novel. Because when you're pulling you pick up this book, and like, okay, got the book. Starting to read, and you're slowly building this world. The example I've given is, okay, the officer tripped over the dog. Everyone knows what I've just said. You've all got different dogs. And you have the dog based on the world that you live in. You've created a dog to fit that scene. And that scene has physics, it has a space. And you've started to build a little world based on that story. It's connected to your own world. And it's through that connection, that touching back and forth as you're creating the object, that's where the meaning happens. It's when the thing that you've created from what you've been presented reaches down here and affects the way you relate to your actual physical world around you, that is meaning creation. It's not the thing that's on the paper, it's when the thing that's on the paper goes a bit further and affects the way you touch the world. And then I'm done. That's as fast as I can do it. I'm not sure I have much time left, but I know that there must be questions because I skipped a lot. I didn't mention Gilles Deleuze. I'm probably happy about that.
Do you see meaning as a fiction?
Do I see meaning as a fiction?
As not an inherent?
I see meaning as straddling somewhere between what I would call the actual and the virtual. And I'm not saying the real and the not real, because the actual and the virtual is something that make up the real. I'm thinking of the virtual in terms of all the processes that go into making what's actually here. Because they're that fluid state where things haven't quite formed up. Then you have the actualizations of those processes. And there could have been a lot of different options, and this is just one of them.
And there's the 5-minute mark. Thank you.